Okay. Hey folks, Mark Locklear here, and this is specifically where we're going to do a couple different things this week. We'll be back in the Mirac book this for this week. The next 3 weeks we'll be doing chapter 17, 18, 19. So this is going to be chapter 17. So most of the activities will be focused around that, but then we'll also be doing I think wrapping up some work inside LinkedIn Learning. So with that being said, let me share my desktop. Um, so yeah, so again, yeah, you've got I think the last section of the Ubuntu Linux Essential commands. So you'll be wrapping that up this week. And then again, you'll be focusing on chapter 17. So we're going to go ahead and as part of chapter 17, we'll get MySQL Workbench going. Didn't use that for DBA120, um, basically because of the sort of server configuration setup that we have, but we will be using that. We will be using that for the next couple of weeks. So a couple things we're doing, we'll be creating a user specifically for the use of MySQL Workbench, and that's fairly common in a sort of an enterprise environment. Often you'd want maybe a user that's specifically set up just for sort of administrative duty. So if you were using a tool like MySQL Workbench, then it would make sense to create a specific user just for that. So I'm linking to a document here, a Google Doc that I've got that's going to walk you through that process. We won't go through it here. Um, you know, I've got this username and password set up. That's your discretion how you want to use that. But I think the instructions I did for the MySQL install have complex passwords or strong passwords set up. So obviously you're not going to be able to use secure underscore password for your password. So just again, use your discretion there, and it'll have to meet the minimum password complexity. And then workbench underscore admin is what I've got here, which makes sense. But again, you can use your discretion and really have it be anything you like. Um, so there's that piece. Let me talk about chapter 17 a little bit and a couple things there. And then we'll look at, I think what I'm going to do for the screencast is just go through and walk you through creating the connection in MySQL Workbench, just so you can see that. Chapter 17 I think it's a good chapter. Again, nothing real sophisticated here. I talked about for the students who have me for DBA 120, I talked about it quite a bit there, but likely you'll never, if you go on and even if you do great things in web development, likely a lot of these things you'll never touch. Web frameworks and just the way data systems are built these days often take care of a lot of these details for you, and for even medium-sized web applications and other systems, the defaults work fine. You don't have to go in and tweak these things. And a lot of these things we're going to be looking at in the next few weeks are really sort of considered advanced database skills. Only in sort of large enterprise environments would you really need to go in and touch a lot of these things. Again, it's that being said, it's still good for you to be exposed to them so you sort of know where they live. So the chapter 17 walks you through just sort of typical database administration responsibilities, specific the database files, where they live, log files, systems variables, system status, all of those things. And again, depending on your role and what you're doing, you likely may never have to touch any of these things. But again, it's just good to know where they live. MySQL Workbench I think it's as good a tool as anything. PHP MyAdmin is another tool that's out there too that does some of this. I don't know that it can do all the technical things that MySQL Workbench can do. But MySQL Workbench is just one administrative tool. There are other tools out there. So I just say that to say that MySQL Workbench is just an interface for, and the other thing is everything that we're doing inside, everything you see inside MySQL Workbench can be done from the command line or the terminal window. Again, outside of the scope of this class to go into the details on how to do all that stuff and where it lives, but just know that MySQL Workbench is just a sort of GUI interface that you can use to manage a MySQL server. All that stuff can be done inside, can either be done inside the terminal window. And again, there's PHP MyAdmin, and I'm pretty sure there's some other paid tools, third-party tools that you can actually buy. MySQL Workbench, I think, is developed by Oracle and is maintained as sort of open source, so it's the free, it's a free tool. There are other paid tools out there that will also allow you to do the same things that you're able to do inside MySQL Workbench. I think that's really all I'm going to say about chapter 17. Again, if you have any questions about that, let me know. Let's look at creating our connection. So again, as I mentioned, you're going to want to create this server, or you're going to want to create this user first. So that's the user that we're going to configure to connect to MySQL inside MySQL Workbench. So we'll start by clicking the plus sign inside MySQL Workbench. And then on this screen, we're going to start with a connection name. So we'll just call it DBA210. We'll call it standard TCP IP over SSH. Our SSH host name is going to be the IP address of our VCL server. So I'm just going to go here and copy that. Our SSH username is going to be our VCL username or user ID. Should be the same as your Moodle password. So I'm going to paste that in here. For SSH password, we're going to do store and keychain. So this is going to be our VCL, our VCL server password. Again, I'm going to get that from the VCL here. Paste that in. Say OK. We can ignore the SSH key file since we're providing the password. MySQL host name is going to be 127.0.0.1. That's often referred to as local host. You may have heard that before, so we'll just leave that there. Our MySQL server port is going to be 3306. So we can leave that in place. Our username, this is going to be the username for the MySQL user that we created with the Google Doc. So if you used Workbench admin, then that's what you'll want to put there. If you used something else, you want to use whatever that password is. For the password here, this is going to be whatever MySQL password, that secure password or whatever MySQL password you used. So I'm just going to manually enter that here. Say OK. And that should be it. I'm going to click test connection. And it may spin its wheels for a few seconds. And there you go. We'll see this successfully made MySQL connection. To just sort of verify that you've done this, you're going to grab a screenshot of this. But I don't know if you don't know, for Mac users, there's a tool called Sketch that's nice, crosshair snapshot. There are other tools out there. Windows has them. So you can do something like this and make a specific screenshot of a specific thing. And it's just handy rather than having to take a screenshot of the whole thing. There's other tools out there where you can do this little cross hatch, choosing a specific area of the screen to screenshot, always handy to have. And then that's it. And then if we do, so once your test connection works correctly, you can do OK here. And I think you just click on it, to open up the connection. And so this is what it looks like. Server status is always a good place to start, and just look at that. And this is going to sort of give you a complete picture of the current performance. Um, you've got various thread pools, authentication, things like that. So all of your details are here. So that's really all. I'll stop there. Yeah, I think that's all I want to say about that. One last thing is exercise 3. We're doing the My Guitar Shop database exercises. We're going to pick those up for chapter 17, 18, and 19. So you want to go in and install that. I'm not going to give you any instructions there. There's a bunch of different ways to do it. I think I haven't actually done it through MySQL Workbench, but I think you can do it. You can do it there. You can load up. I think you can load a database here. And in fact, I put let's see, I've got a video, yeah, inside the learning, in the learning resources in Moodle. Go here. Learning resources in Moodle. I've got a video there loading a database in MySQL Workbench. You can do it that way. You can sort of do it the old school way if you want. I'm saying old school. You can do it via the terminal window if you want. You could SCP, use secure copy to copy the database setup file onto the server and just manually run it there. That would be similar to what we did in what I think most of you would have done in DBA120. So a bunch of different ways to do it. You can, once you do it if you do it inside the terminal, once the database is loaded there, then you'll be able to see it inside. You'll be able to see it inside MySQL Workbench. Okay. Okay, I think that is all for now. If anyone has any questions, let me know. Stop sharing. Okay. Yeah, I think that's all for now. If you have any questions, let me know. Thanks.